I flew to Switzerland to race my bike and ended up feeling like a criminal. That single sentence, whispered by one of the disqualified riders in the Tour de Romandie Feminine, captures the emotional gut punch that's been overshadowed by all the boardroom bickering. While executives at the UCI and Velon trade press releases like tennis serves, it's the athletes, already exhausted from travel, altitude adaptation, and tapering, who are left holding the bag. But here's where it gets controversial. The disqualifications weren't triggered by doping, dangerous riding, or even a missed weigh-in. They happened because of a tiny GPS tracker, no bigger than a matchbox, glued beneath the top tube. 5 entire squads, including pre-race favorites packed with world champions and Olympic medalists, were marched off the start line because their devices allegedly didn't meet a brand new technical protocol that most teams claim they never saw coming. Imagine training all winter, peaking for this exact Swiss weekend, then discovering, minutes before the gun, that you're barred from the race you crossed an ocean to contest. Riders describe the scene as surreal, mechanics scrambling to rip off offending units, soigneurs pleading with officials, and eventually the sight of team buses pulling away from the paddock while stunned competitors stood in kit, numbers still pinned to their jerseys. The official line from the UCI is that the trackers in question failed to transmit live telemetry at the required frequency. Velon, the commercial entity that supplies the units, insists the hardware is sound and that the real problem is a sudden rule change slipped into the race Bible without adequate notice. Teams, caught in the crossfire, had to choose between ripping the devices off in a panic or risking disqualification. Most gambled and lost. And this is the part most people miss. The riders themselves had zero say. Some were handed a 2-sentence explanation from their directeur sportif. Others received nothing more than a curt, "Pack your bags." One rider told me she only understood the full story after scrolling Twitter on the bus back to the hotel. Another admitted she broke down in tears in front of fans who had traveled to see her race. "We looked like cheaters," she said, "but we hadn't done anything wrong." The collateral damage goes beyond bruised egos. 2 squads aborted their entire race block, sacrificing precious training days and sponsor visibility. Staff who had booked accommodation through the weekend scrambled for last-minute flights. Mechanics worked through the night to remove every trace of the illegal trackers, only to learn that the UCI might soften the rule next week. An exhausting game of regulatory whiplash. Now for the spicy take. Some insiders whisper that the whole saga is less about data integrity and more about who controls the lucrative broadcast analytics. If Velon's trackers become the de facto standard, the UCI loses leverage. If the UCI can force teams onto a different system, Velon's business model wobbles. The riders? Mere pawns on a chessboard worth millions in TV rights and sponsorship metrics. So, whose side are you on? Should teams shoulder the blame for not triple-checking every comma in the tech regs? Or is the UCI guilty of moving the goalposts mid-game? And here's the kicker. If the same tracker worked flawlessly at the Tour de France Femmes just weeks earlier, why is it suddenly a disqualifying offense in Switzerland? Drop your take below. Agree, disagree, or bring receipts. Because until fans speak louder than the suits, the people who actually turn the pedals will keep paying the price for fights they never started.